recording it while everyone was here, so I wanted you guys to know why I was doing it.
What's your email?
Nadolski at EDUHSC.
Oh, okay.
Alright. So here's the deal. All phones should be put away. Okay.
Is that amusing to you, Kira?
Is it going to be Mr. Bugs?
It's the drum line.
It's
the bass drums.
All phones put away. The only reason you should have a computer open is if you are taking notes. Okay, we'll be walking around, so I'm going to flip that on you if you're taking notes, or if you're doing something else. I'm going to be honest, okay? If you would like to take notes on paper, that's fine. Okay, huh?
Are notes required?
No. But if you want to kind of get, this is kind of your first back to school wake me up of an essay.
Wake me up an essay.
Yeah, it's kind of slap in the face. So if you want to take notes on this, you're more than welcome. But you should not have a computer open if you are not taking notes. Okay, Grant, Kira, got it? Okay. Let me know when we're ready to go. Okay. So this is an expository essay, correct? That's what we're doing.
Yes.
So what is your purpose of this essay?
To provide information on your stance.
Yes, you're explaining something, you're informing your audience. Okay? Liam, Nick, you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay? You're informing, you're not arguing. So in this essay, you are not going to be approaching a counter-argument or giving a rebuttal. You are simply explaining whether you disagree or agree with giving a Bill of Rights to animals. Okay? We just went over that. Intro paragraph. Okay. Upside down triangle. So your intro paragraph should start with a hook. Can someone give me a little more background on a hook? What's a hook? Yeah, Keith.
Well, a bear is an attention getter.
What does that mean, though? What is that?
Something kind of like a fish hook with readers in it.
Okay. What are some examples of attention getters? How can we do that on our first line of our essay?
Quickly.
Someone besides Keith.
Okay.
like something that's really strong and full of emotion, kind of. Like,
Okay.
somebody hates somebody, read more now. Like clickbait, kind of. Like
Yeah, so something to kind of like draw your reader in, okay? Here are some ideas. Questions. Questions draw the reader in, okay? Kind of like a shocking statement, or you could pull out something that's like kind of hits you in the face about animal rights right away, especially if you're going from that standpoint about protecting animals' legal rights, okay? Definitions are always good. Anything like that, that's kind of like, the purpose is just to get the reader interested. Next up, background information. Okay, when you're typically writing an essay for like a novel or something, you're going to give a little bit of background info on the text, right? You'll say, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Nick Carraway, blah, blah, blah. You're going to give a little bit of context, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. For this essay, there's no novel to kind of give background about. So what kind of background information are you giving?
What source are you getting it from, or what are you getting?
What kind of background info does the audience need to understand what you're going to be discussing in your essay? Yeah.
I think specifically what are the Bill of Rights, the rights therein.
Okay, yeah. So there is the change.org petition, which you can still find. That link doesn't work just because it's outdated. But if you Google like the Animal Bill of Rights, the change.org petition does come up. So if you want to give more information on what that bill specifically proposes, that might be good. Okay? For instance, Nick, I'm going to call you out right now. Yesterday, Nick was like, no, animals don't need legal rights. And then once he actually went through and read the petition, it's more about giving animals rights from abuse and torture and things like that. Okay, so that might be good info to include in your background info. Now, the narrowest point of your essay is the thesis statement. Okay? Just for right now, give me a thumbs up, middle thumbs, or thumbs down based off of how comfortable you are with a thesis statement. Okay. This is the one that is overlooked in high school because it's assumed you learned it in middle school and teachers don't ever touch it again. Okay? The thesis statement is the roadmap for your essay. It is exactly what you are going to be talking about. Okay? So it's going to answer the question, do animals deserve legal protections? And everything you'll be discussing in your essay. So your main points, your body paragraphs, okay? So animals deserve legal protections in an Animal Bill of Rights because this, and this. Everything you will hit in your essay, okay? Any questions on a thesis statement? So there should be no surprise info for me when I read your essay. That's not included in the thesis statement, okay? Think of the upside down triangle. It's the easiest way. Huh?
That's not structurally stable.
I'm not a construction worker here, Keith.
It's going to fall over.
Okay. And this is on Canvas too, so if you want to go over this. Again, it's just a clear statement about what you're saying. So answer your prompt here. To what extent do you agree or disagree that animals should have a Bill of Rights? Okay, that's where you're answering your question. All right, body paragraphs. Okay. Your body paragraphs are where the majority of your argument is taking place. Okay. So you start obviously with your topic sentence and your reason for your claim. So that might be like, the first reason that animals deserve a Bill of Rights is because your first main idea or reason that backs up your claim or thesis statement. Okay? Each body paragraph is a different topic that backs up your thesis. Next, you hit me with the evidence. Okay? In the Journal of Animal Research, that was a very diverse name, I know, I understand that. In the Journal of Animal Research, scientist blah, blah, blah says, give me some quotes, okay? Give me some evidence directly from whatever research and resources you're using. Whether that's readings from the module, whether that's your own research, okay? Incorporate that. Now, what do you do with the explanation? This is the most, everyone open up your ears when I say this. This is the most important part of an essay, is the explanation. Okay, that's the part that I'm going to be the hardest grader on. That's the part that really makes up whether you can understand how evidence can back up a thesis. Okay? This is where you explain how your evidence and quotes support your main idea or reason that backs up your claim. Okay? So if the Journal of Animal Research says that their studies have proven that animals from gorillas to birds to squirrels have emotions. Okay? You're going to say, this evidence proves blah, blah, blah. Okay? You're going to explain to me how that proves your thesis statement and your main point. The biggest issue with essays is sometimes you guys can expect the reader to make the connection for you. Pretend I'm like the stupidest person in the world. So when you write your essay, you're writing to like a 5-year-old. Okay? You're laying out every step for me. I shouldn't have to use my brain at all to make that connection. You're doing all of that explanation for me. Okay? After you've explained how your evidence proves your reason for your claim, you go to your conclusion. Okay? Your concluding sentence, restatement, kind of going back to the thesis, you can summarize something, your call to action, okay, that's just within your body paragraph. We're not talking about like the actual concluding paragraph. Alright? One thing I want to make clear, does your topic sentence have to be one sentence? No. Does your evidence have to be one sentence from a quote?
No.
No. Okay? Kira, I'm going to have you go to the computer. Okay? Don't stick to a huge formula with this. Alright? If you need 8 sentences to explain how your evidence proves your point, do it. Yeah, Grace?
Is there a specific one?
No. So, minimally, you should have, what? 1 quote per paragraph, right?
Yeah.
1 piece of evidence. You can tie in a couple sentences. You can tie in 2 different pieces of information that back up the same point, right? So whatever you need to kind of make that point. If you want to write, again, I said this yesterday, if you are feeling this topic and you want to write 4 body paragraphs, go for it, okay? If you're like, I love animals! Animals need rights! and you need to do 5 body paragraphs. Great. Okay? Yeah, right.
We're using all 3 of those like articles, right?
You can use all 3. Okay? I don't have tutorial now.
Oh, okay.
Get out of here!
Does.
What?
Does.
Wold and good.
Okay.
Goody. Okay. Sorry, what was your question? Or do we use all 3 articles? You can. Okay? If you want to pull the info directly from those articles, up to you. If you want to find outside resources, that works too. But remember, you have to look at those outside resources with a critical eye, just like we learned how to do. Okay? I'm happy. Alright. So, like, Kyle yesterday found a good article from National Geographic. Is National Geographic going to be pro-animal legal rights or against animal legal rights?
Pro.
Pro. It's National Geographic.
Is it Discovery Channel that found that like nature shows?
Yeah, so if you're reading from Discovery Channel, it's likely going to be pro-animal rights. Can I move on? Did you say no?
No. Why you rewriting because well, I need to retain it in there.
Alright, for those of you who like pictures, it's a cheeseburger.
It's a
Hamburger, sorry. No, it's a cheeseburger.
But the cheese isn't on top, so it's wrong. It has to be called a
Wendy's.
hamburger.
They don't put it always on top.
That's illegal.
I didn't say about cheese being on top.
I agree.
But yeah, I've never seen cheese be under the tomato and the lettuce. That's just weird.
No, what's wrong is they have the pickles on the bottom.
Ugh.
That's a weird.
Who eats pickles?
I think I'm losing IQ points.
Alright, bring it in. If you are a visual person, Kira, if you're a oh my gosh, visual person, okay? Think of it like a burger. It has different layers, okay? If you want to do like lasagna, if you're more Italian, go for that, okay? You have your intro paragraph. What does it mean by transition? What does that mean? What is a transition?
Therefore.
Okay, so what does a transition do?
No, I'm kidding. No, like, yeah, it makes you just sound, it's fancy words, that transition.
It takes you to the next part of your essay. Yeah. It helps the flow.
Yes. Helps the flow, helps the organization, connects ideas, okay? You should always have some sort of transition in between each body paragraph leading to your conclusion, okay? So you might start your conclusion with therefore, in conclusion, okay? After reviewing all of the evidence. Something like that, okay? It's a lot harder to follow along when you don't have transitions and it just looks choppy, okay? Like when you read a book and it just doesn't make sense, like nothing connects. We've all been there, right? Where we hate a book we have to read in school or something like that. Don't do that to me. I have to read it, okay? Again, this is on Canvas, so if this is something that you kind of look for, like you like the visuals, it's there. Okay, you can Google too, like expository paragraph pictures.
Cheeseburger.
Lots of cheeseburgers.
Hamburger.
Okay. General reminders. These will be on your rubric. Okay. Objective tone, not bias. What does that mean? Someone besides Keith and David and Kira.
We're too good for you.
Let's not go there, Keith. It's just rude. Okay. What's an objective tone? What does that mean? Objective. What does that mean? Here.
Instead of having something personal like my laptop, it is the laptop.
That's objective,
So,
okay?
That's more objective than personal.
Now, let me give you another example. I gave this the other day. Let's say Nick is my least favorite student. Okay? I'm a teacher that plays favorites. Nick is my least favorite. Garen is my favorite. Okay? If they both have a late assignment, and they both try to give it to me, and I said, Nick, I'm not taking a late assignment, but I take Garen's. That's being biased. Okay, that is having a biased opinion. So when you're writing this essay, you should not come across as having a stance. You are relaying all of the information in an objective tone. So I shouldn't be able to be like, oh, this person really loves this.
So your only stance is agreeing that they should have bill of rights and disagree.
Yes. But when you are listing your evidence and things like that, I shouldn't be able to pick up that you really feel strongly about this or that.
Oh, you're just saying this is a logical essay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're not looking at ethos here. Okay, we're not using an emotional poll.
Logos.
We're looking at a logical poll and credibility. Okay?
Ow.
Killing the game over there, David.
My shoulder.
No personal pronouns. Do not use I, we, my, our, okay? You can use personal pronouns in non-formal writing, like a blog or any response I have you give. But when we're doing one of these argumentative or expository essays, alright, there should be absolutely no personal pronouns.
No addressing the readers with you or they.
Well, you're not addressing the reader in any way. Because what that does is it takes your argument, your evidence, from this objective, unbiased tone down to a small, this is what I think. Okay? You don't want to be that person that comes to a debate, comes to an argument with someone who you disagree with, and all you can say is, I think this, without backing up any information. You don't want to be that person. Okay? Cite properly. In-text citations in works cited MLA format. Alright? Works cited MLA. Noodlebib. Just go to Noodlebib.
I love that.
Plug it in.
Easy bib and noodle tools.
Okay? Huh?
Easy bib and noodle tools.
Yeah, Noodlebib is just like, it's free.
Noodlebib.
So you don't have to have an
Wait.
account.
Noodlebib doesn't exist, though.
Yeah,
It's
it does.
easy bib and
Is it Easy Bib?
Easy bib and
Gary, you're lying to me.
What's noodle? But that's a really cool
not
word,
right.
and I like it. I'm gonna use
I
that
swear
now.
it's Noodlebib.
No.
You guys. Maybe this is just how old I
Dude,
am.
I did noodle tools before teachers.
Their stance.
What did I say, Noodlebib?
Little bit.
See,
It comes up though. Alright. Noodle tools.
Enough people.
Alright, Noodle tools. All you do is you plug in your website, the author, all of that. It pulls it up for you. Just do that. Don't make it difficult. Okay? In-text citations. Do we all know how to do a... Actually, let's start with this. What is an in-text citation? Children?
Yeah, no, like a Wikipedia.
Yeah.
You have the quote, but you don't put like a period after the quote.
Okay.
Just leave it in quotations underneath parentheses of the author's last name, and then close parentheses, and then the period.
Okay, yes. So an in-text citation is when you are citing the quote within the actual essay. Correct? So if I'm quoting something and I like quote it, whatever, what do I put in the parentheses for a website?
No, the author's last name right under
Yes.
the article.
I don't know anymore.
Not the in-text. Author's last name. That's it for a website. Okay? If you went above and beyond, no, it doesn't even make sense here. If it was a novel, you would put the author's last name and then the page number. Alright, but you're only using website stuff. If you're using something from the modules, it's still just the author's last name. Alright, keep.
It's not even like the module things.
Author's last name.
No, not with using a quote like on the last page
Yes.
where we're doing all the links and everything. Do we just write, how do we cite the module papers?
Go to Noodle Tools, and you'll have a paper. Like, it won't be from the source that you got it from. You'll select a different choice than website. They'll have a drop-down list, and then you choose. I can't remember what it's called.
I'll just put the title of the article in,
Yeah.
the author name,
Yeah.
and just get other options.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
If you do all the options, you can insert everything.
Yeah.
You insert everything yourself, and then it makes a citation for you. And then when you go to the end, you have all of your citations, and then you can click make citations page, and it makes your citations page for you as well.
Okay. In addition, transitions. We just talked about them. So apparently your tomato, lettuce, cheese, and pickles. Pickles are good. Use them to introduce new concepts. One of your standards as seniors is to be able to use transitions. Therefore, it's on your rubric. Okay, I'm going to have the rubric up because I totally forgot to put it online. I'll have the rubric up today by the end of school. Okay? So you can kind of look and see. Basically, it's good writing. It's all of your standards you have to hit for the United States and California into a rubric. Okay? That's what you should be expected to do. Lastly, no slang, no typos, and no words like gonna.
I'm gonna.
Okay? It's going to. We can say it, we can text it, but we do not put it in an academic forum.
When you're doing academic forum, in this type of essay, are we allowed to do contractions? 'Cause
No.
I've been told that we're not allowed to in some, and then I've been told by others that we are.
You want to stay as formal as possible. Okay, so try to stay away from contractions. If one slips, it's not going to like bring your grade onto a D. Right? I might just mark it on the rubric a slot lower.
So don't say don't.
Yes, they do not. Okay. All right. Any questions on format? Okay. Of writing an expository essay. All right.
How do we make a good conclusion without making it sound abrupt? Kind of like ending a text message with a period sounds like really just like stop. Yeah, I feel like my conclusions are kind of the same way. It's just kind of sad and just leaves you with nothing else.
Triangle.
All right. Look at the board real quick. So you know how with the intro paragraph it's an upside down triangle? With the conclusion it's basically the opposite. The first thing you start with is your thesis. Okay? You're basically going back to your major argument. You are not saying it word for word. You will be, find a different way to say it. Okay, I shouldn't be able to like Control F and find your thesis and find it again. That's just lazy writing. Okay? So restate what your argument was throughout this entire thing. What were you trying to prove? Okay? Second, you're going to summarize your main ideas. Okay? So you're going to hit those three. I keep doing that. I'll be like, you have 2 things to do today. Pregnancy brain. You're going to summarize your 3 points if you had 3 body paragraphs. If you went above and beyond and did more than that, you're going to summarize those main ideas there. Okay? Lastly, this is probably the hardest part for a lot of people, like figuring out how to wrap up the essay and like, what do I put at the end? This is awkward. Okay? This is your final thoughts on the topic. It's the last thing you want the reader to hear or see, and the call to action. Okay? Does anyone know what I mean by a call to action?
Battle speech.
Okay, Gary?
So, like, questions at the end, kind of like what Jeremy Rifkin did, but logical?
That's a rhetorical device. So you could include questions, but the call to action is really what you want the reader to do with this information. Okay? So if you're like, this proves that the meat industry should take these issues into consideration and change the way they blah, 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 blah. Okay? So what did you kind of want to happen after laying out this argument? Okay? If you don't think animals deserve legal rights, why is that important? Okay? And that with a call to action. Do you think that maybe, like Nick was saying yesterday, animals might deserve some rights, but not a Bill of Rights? Okay? And again, the prompt says, to what extent do you agree or disagree that animals deserve a Bill of Rights? Okay? So if there's an I agree and there's an I disagree, if you're somewhere in the middle, you can say that, but your essay needs to prove your middle ground point. Okay? How do we feel? Can we write an essay?
Yeah.
Caitlin, don't give me a no. Yes.
It's like your entire essay is completely informative, not biased. Like you're not arguing the strong point,
Yes.
but then it's just like randomly at the end.
No. You don't necessarily have to have a call to action. You're not saying, I believe this. You're saying, with this information, what should happen?
So this information animals should deserve.
So let me give you an example real quick. I did this yesterday with the juniors. Where was it? All right, Emily.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an argumentative format, so it's a little different for the juniors. Okay? So the prompt I said was, do teachers assign too much homework? If you kind of want to understand conclusion better, please follow along as I read. One of the most important reasons why teachers assign too much homework is the fact that they did not take extracurricular activities into account. For example, the review of educational research found that a higher number of students than ever are participating in extracurricular activities. In addition, the same study found that participation improves student self-esteem, educational aspirations and goals, race relations, and student grades. This study proves how important it is for students to participate in after-school activities, and teachers who over-assign homework are affecting whether or not students can participate. On the other hand, here's the counter-argument for argumentative. Critics will argue that homework is one of the most effective ways of learning a new skill because it is an individual assignment. Even though many people will argue the importance of homework, the time for extracurricular activities develops student character and prepares them for the world better than homework ever could. Here's the concluding sentence, Emily. Therefore, teachers should consider how much their homework assignments are cutting into student opportunities outside of school. So do you see how that's kind of call to action-y? Like, it's not saying, I think this, but it's saying, if the question is, do teachers assign too much homework, my call to action or my final thought is that at the end is that teachers should consider how much it affects students. Does that make sense?
You're not using harsh language and you're not really pointing to a side and then pushing the reader in a direction, but they look at the facts. And
think of it in like a scientific way, right? If you do a study, what does that study find? What are you going to report to the people, right? Same thing with an essay. You've done this research. What does it show? What needs to be done? Okay?
It like really bothers me that there isn't a counter argument.
That what?
That there like isn't a counter argument.
There is.
Well, this,
No,
she's
not
talking
here.
about,
No, in this essay. Because it's like, I just really don't-
practicing an
I
argument.
promise you, you'll get to do an argument, okay?
Is it racial profiling? Is the argument?
Yeah, it has to do with racial profiling.
Much like real life arguments, am I going to cry afterwards?
Probably.
Aaron, I've never seen you cry.
I love arguing, so I have like no
I
problem
thought you
with
would
it.
say, I'd love to see you cry. I'm like, okay.
I just think it's fun. I'll argue with anyone.
I enjoy
I'd love to make you cry.
but then I won't cry.
Emily,
Yeah.
the difference is you're not trying to prove a point necessarily. You are explaining your side of this opinion. If I was like, you need to argue this, then you would use a counter argument and you'd be able to defend your argument. But in this case, all you're doing is you're explaining why you think animals need a Bill of Rights. Okay?
That's right.
Are you really passionate about this topic? Is that why?
No.
Okay.
I mean, animals are cool.
I'm
Wait,
looking up
wait,
the.
I
I'm currently looking up the
The animals.
human